pleased to introduce the new BYU head coach, none other than Kevin Young. And all right, Kevin, full disclosure, I don't know if you and I have ever met before. I'm not sure if we met, but we have a very common friend. For you, it's a brother, Justin Young, who I've known for 20 plus years. We kind of got in the industry at the same time, covering recruiting. Have we met or no? Do we know this?
I think we might have met somewhere along the way. I can't remember when, so we'll call this the first time.
We'll call it the first time. There you go. Congrats. You've been in the NBA for a while, kind of working your way up there, and decided, and I don't know if you need to get your sanity checked or not, but you decided to get in the college game when a lot of people are going the other way. A lot of people are saying, you know what? I don't know if I can handle this thing. Now, I think most of the people that are saying that are probably my age or your brother's age. You're only in your I think you're like 42, right?
Correct.
All right. So you got more energy for this. And frankly, I think the NBA game probably has prepared you for the craziness that is going on right now with college athletics and the portal and NIL and all that. What's it been like? So it's only been a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly just been I feel like I'm learning something new every 5 minutes as I go through it. I mean, I've been first matter of business was hiring some staffers who are very well versed in the college atmosphere, but the more I'm doing it, the more I'm realizing how many similarities there are to both the NBA and the G League when I was doing that for a number of years in terms of the types of people that you're talking to on the phone to get information to get things done. So there's a lot of similarities there.
So take me through first your path, because I don't think a lot of people in college know much about you because you really weren't in college.
Yeah.
I think, did you do a year like Utah Valley years ago when you
Yep.
started?
Yep. I did. So my very first gig was at a JUCO. Actually, I did that for a year, then made my way out to Utah Valley, worked for Dick Hunsaker for a year, and then that was really my only college experience. I jumped onto the pro side quickly after that. I was a head coach in Ireland, of all places, for a year, then came back into the G League, where I spent 9 years. Was a head coach of three different G League teams, and made my way to the Sixers. Was with Brett Brown and that crew for 4 years. That's where me and Monty Williams linked up, and he's the one that brought me out to Phoenix. And then I just finished up my fourth year out there. So that's a quick version of it.
Love Brett Brown, one of my favorite
Yeah,
people. One of my favorite
unbelievable guy.
people. Another New Englander. I'm a New
Yeah.
Englander, so he's from up here in Maine. So no, like, so take me through the decision, because one of the things with you is, listen, you turned down an NBA head coaching job right before you took the BYU head coaching job. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but the Nets job was yours if you wanted it. And you said, hey, you know what? I would rather get into college and coach at BYU. Why?
Yep. So full disclosure, they never actually offered me the job. Things were very, very close. Sean was fantastic. Those guys were great. But yeah, no, it was something me and my wife, honestly, we had in the back of our mind for years. This particular is the only job in college that I would have made the move for, just given the uniqueness of the university. My wife went to school here. We met. I was coaching in the G League when she was a student out here. And so, we have family out here. Again, the unique nature of the school and the recruiting pool was something that I felt like if I did go this route, this was this place for us. And as we were just comparing different things relative to the NBA lifestyle, I have three small kids. The NBA life is very difficult from a family standpoint. Not that the college, kind of the conclusion we came to was it's busy, but at least I'm at home a lot more, even though I likely be more busy. I talked to a consultant with Mark Madsen, who's a good friend who was in the NBA. He's obviously at Cal. Billy Lang, who's a good friend, worked together with the Sixers. And so those two guys in particular had a lot of good reference points as it relates to the difference between family life in the NBA, family life in college. And that was a big factor in why we decided to go this route.
What what's the biggest thing that you've kind of learned that you'll like? I guess how do you describe your coaching style even? Because I don't think a lot of people know. Again, you're in the G League, you got head coaching experience for a while there.
Mhm.
You've learned under some of the really best coaches, obviously in the NBA. How do you describe number one, kind of your personality? Now, I tried to get in full disclosure again. I tried to get Justin to give me some good dirt on you, and he went to the brothers group chat, I'm told, and didn't even get anything good. That you're that squeaky clean. How do you describe your personality, number one, and then
Mhm.
your coaching style?
Yeah, I think personality is just pretty much a straight shooter, pretty direct, just kind of say it how it is. That's kind of how I was able to sort of earn my stripes in the league with a lot. I mean, I was really lucky in the NBA world where I coached a lot of elite players, a lot of all-stars, Hall of Famers, and I don't know, my way of connecting with them was just kind of being honest with them, and that was how I kind of gained a lot of those guys' respect. So that's my general approach. Um, not a lot of fluff, but communicative, relationship driven, things of that nature. In terms of the basketball style, I've always been an offensive mind. I would say that's kind of been the tasks I've had in the NBA. Um, I like to play fast. I like to play an up tempo, 5-out style. Kind of a modern NBA type of vibe. Um, and like probably my best years doing that was constructed around a rim rolling big with a good point guard and shooters around that. And so that's kind of the genesis of how I like to play. A lot of, I was with Brett Brown, as I mentioned, for a long time and was kind of grew up with a lot of the Spurs philosophy, I think, in terms of making quick decisions with the basketball and that kind of thing. And then that morphed its way into my own specific philosophies. But that's kind of a 30-second overview of it, I would say.
Um, did you know Mark Pope at all? Like, have you talked to him? Obviously, they had a great year last year and played a style that was, they shot a ton of threes. It was almost like, watching an NBA team to some degree. Obviously, they didn't have that rim running big that you're talking about, but they had a lot of shooters, a lot of skilled players. Have you talked to him at all? I assume you're trying to get as much info as you can on the job, the college game, and while trying to navigate the portal.
Yeah. No, I mean, Mark and I know each other. I did a clinic out here some years ago when he first got the job. We connected then, but don't know him well. Knew a couple of the guys that were on staff who I picked their brains and so forth. Hired Chris Burgess, who had been an assistant here a couple years ago, was up at Utah. So his familiarity with a lot of our players still, and obviously the school in general has been very helpful. So, yeah, man, it's important to learn from what they've done, what we can add to that group to supplement some of the guys that are coming back. But fortunate that a lot of the Dallin and Richie decided to come back out of the portal and play for us. That was big. So we'll be able to rely on the experience that those guys bring to the table from last year.
What describe like a day of what it's been like so far for you? I mean, are you getting any sleep? Are you on the phone the whole time? Obviously, some coaches are flying out to meet with kids on their campuses. Other
Mhm.
coaches are bringing kids in for visits on their own campus. What's kind of the overall, because it's so different for me even to cover right now because it's
Mhm.
changed. For you, it's not different. This is all you've known so far in college.
Yeah. I think that is an advantage for me. I don't know the old way, so to speak. Like I keep telling like our administration, it's basically the NBA. It's free agency. It's so a lot of the systems that I'm trying to implement moving forward are very NBA like because I just see so many parallels between the NBA world and this relative to like personnel, mainly databases and so forth, information, intel, all that kind of stuff. But in terms of like what a day looks like, I mean, the tricky part early on was I was doing both. I was doing the Suns, which obviously we were in a playoff run, and then doing this as well. And so it was go to Suns, come back, get to we were on the road to start. I was just in the hotel on the phone for 12 straight hours. burning the lines up, trying to hire staff, talk to recruits, talk to agents, all different things of that nature. So even snuck in a quick, we after game one, we had a 2 day break. We had practice. So went to practice, snuck into a quick flight, came to Provo for like 6 hours to get a couple of things done, and then flew back for game two. So Suns were great in terms of letting me get my son's work done and do this in between. But now that the Suns season is over, been able to dive in Provo now. I'm kind of still going back and forth a little bit from Phoenix, but yeah, man, every day it's just going on a list of staffing and player retention and not retention anymore, but portaling, as you would say, are the big tasks at hand.
All right, give me your favorite Joel Embiid story, because that kid is one of my favorite people I've ever been around. And the crazy part, and I said this to him when he was in Boston last year, he's really matured, like really, really, really matured. And he actually attributed to him being a father a lot, but that he is, I mean, like as entertaining as it gets off the court, even on the court. Give me a great Joel Embiid story.
Yeah, I mean, I first of all, I agree. I mean, I kind of had made that comment when I left. He was having his son, and I said he's going to take his game to another level. He needed that level of responsibility added to his plate to kind of ground him, and obviously wins MVP shortly thereafter. So he's just an unbelievable talent. But he's a character for sure. But I think the thing that's probably stands out for me the most with him is, I was there his first couple years where he didn't play, right? And as he started to get healthy, I remember talking to a couple scout friends in the league. I said, man, this Embiid guy's he's pretty good. Like he's pretty good. And he was just working out. And then I remember the very first time he played pickup when he was fully healthy. It was the most dominant performance I'd ever seen in a pickup game. And the guy never looked back. And just to be around that level of talent for as long as I was, and to see his maturation, and then obviously he exploded once we left as he got even more mature and better and better. Just an unbelievable talent.
So are you going to is Justin going to bring you out to Nacho Mama's when we go to the Peach Jam this July? Is he going to, or are you going to even go near him? I mean, that's probably the bigger question.
What's funny about that is, like, when I was in college, I was finishing up and I knew I was going to go into coaching. At that time, I thought for sure I was going to do college, but I would tag along with them at the Peach Jam and went out to Vegas with him and just, try to meet different people that he knew. And Nacho Mama's was always the go-to spot. So I've been tagging along with him for years.
I feel like we've had to have met there. We've had to have met at one of those lunches in between sessions at Peach Jam. What, like, when you look at now being in college, was this ever a goal of yours? I mean, like a few years ago, you're thinking probably, I'm not even sure you're thinking NBA head coaching job. I don't know when you ever gave that a thought, but you've interviewed for a bunch of them. Like, is it surreal almost in a way to be a head college coach right now?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's days I wake up and, I'm thinking I'm going to have to go scout a playoff game or get ready for a pre-draft workout. And instead I'm hiring staff here and learning all the NCAA rules. But, for me, it's always about opportunity and timing. And the timing of this just seemed too good for me and my family. And ultimately, we just felt great about it. And so there is some surrealness to it. But I've really enjoyed actually learning new, just it's all new to me, right? And so I haven't been sleeping a whole lot, but I have just a crazy amount of energy because I'm just so charged up I'm loving the CEO nature of the position, like building out my staff, building out the infrastructure, especially given the new landscape that you mentioned, where you know, I see a need to build something out similar to the world that I was coming in that happens to be new in this world. And so that's given me a lot of juice. And so I've really enjoyed like I said, the CEO nature of this and how many different things I'm able to kind of build out.
Yeah, I mean the other part of this aspect that I don't know how much you've had to do yet, but is the NIL part of it,
Mhm.
right? Is meeting with boosters, making sure you've got a good enough payroll, so to speak, for
Mhm.
NIL to be able to get some of these players out of the portal. How much time has that kind of taken up for you so far, or is it more of let's get a team together first?
Well, so that was one of the things, and I give Billy Lane credit. When I talked to him, he gave me a laundry list of questions, like make sure you get answers to this, and this, right? And the NIL and collective structure was at the top of that list. And so I felt really strong about where BYU was at, relative to their systems that they have in place to have that payroll be where it needs to be competitive. And been impressed with what that has looked like since I've been here, and each day feeling more and more comfortable about that. We recently hired a chief of staff who will act as our kind of collective go-between, which will be a big help for me. So again, that kind of goes back to the infrastructure that we're building and again, like I talked about, kind of the CEO nature of this position.
Yeah, it's man, it has, like I said, I'm sure you talked to your brother enough. It has changed dramatically, and I don't know if it can keep going at this pace. That's going to be the interesting part, how much it changes over the next couple of years right now, because for me it's hard looking at some of these players. Like, I'm all for them getting paid, uh, but some of these numbers are astronomical right now. And I had a kid call me, and he was like, you know, you put the number out there for me. I didn't put an exact number, but I put a number out there. And he said, now everybody knows what I'm making. Now, if I don't play well, there's pressure on me. I'm like, yeah, you're a pro now. Like, that's kind of the difference right now, even from covering the sport from what it was 5 or 10 years ago, is like, yes, these guys are kind of in between, right? And coaching them, it's going to be probably closer, like you said, to the G League, and they're making a lot more money, most of them, than the guys you coached in the G League. But they're young. They're young players that now have money, that are probably, again, covered a little bit differently. They've been covered in the past by us, and there's a lot more kind of to handle with these kids these days than there ever was.
Absolutely. And I mean, all these kids want to play at the next level, right? They all want to be pros. And so I was literally just having the same exact conversation this morning with somebody here at the school about, hey, this is new territory for the players relative to, you know, this guy's getting that, I'm getting this guy, and all that kind of stuff. But it happens in once you go in the professional ranks, whether it's NBA, Europe, doesn't matter, even the G League, like there are levels to it and there's tiers to it, and like how you navigate that is I think now you're getting a chance to do it here. So when you do get to the next level, perhaps you're a bit more ready for it. But I think it just, in a lot of ways, it fast tracks these guys' mindset of it being a business, in a lot of ways. And with that becomes business decisions. Now, who your agent is maybe more important than it was before. Who's in your inner circle is maybe more important than what it was before. And so, for a lot of these kids, this is the profession that they've chosen, and they're just having to fast track how they navigate a lot of it.
One thing I think you'll love going from NBA to college is you'll have a lot more time to practice, right? I
Uh,
mean, that's one area that once you get going in the NBA, once the games start, there's not a whole lot of time. Where in college, you'll have a lot more time to work with these kids.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think that's probably one of the outside of the recruiting, that's actually probably one of the biggest differences. Like in the NBA, you coach through the games and the post game film sessions, right? In college, it's you really can coach through practice much more. And so, that's going to be a big adjustment for me in terms of how you manage that. But if you're from just the essence of coaching, you like that because you're going to be able to have a lot more a lot more time to get the things implemented that you want. In the NBA, if I had a dollar for every time someone said, "Oh, hey, this great idea," and then the head coach come and say, "Yeah, well, when are we going to put that in?" You know, so you end up being bare bones a lot of times.
Well, listen, appreciate it. Good to formally meet you for the first time. Like I said, I think we probably did, but we'll do another lunch, a real one. Nacho Mamas, July, Peach Jam. While you're trying to get the lay of the land, it's a lot different too now. There's a lot of coaches out there that are like, you know what? I'm not even going to go out in July anymore. Like I'm
Mhm.
just going to hit the portal. You know, when the portal opens next year, I don't even care about these high school kids. I think for you, it probably will be different, right? And do you want kind of a mix, Kevin, as far as your team? Obviously, you can have some older guys because of LDS and the missions and all that. And it's hard to figure out. I remember talking to, you know, Dave Rose about this years ago. And like, how do you figure out like who's coming, who's going? It's a different job than probably almost any other job in America.
Yeah, it is, and I actually think the current landscape helps it in a lot of ways because I think we're a school where kids want to play here, and I don't know if they're just dying to leave here. So I think because of that, we will be able to have continuity, and then we're going to be able to blend. I think I've always felt following this program from afar that the blend is the key, right? I think the blend is the key, and I think the portal actually lends itself to giving us the ability to not have to start over from scratch every year. Maybe like a lot of other teams, we'll have some continuity, and then we can kind of supplement it with guys in the portal that we can. I will say this about the portal and as it relates to BYU, the Big 12, me being here with the NBA, I've been really thoroughly excited about the level of player and excitement people have for BYU. I don't know what it was like before, but I've been pleasantly surprised about the level of conversations with the type of talent we've been able to have, and hopefully that manifests itself to guys committing to come play for us and ultimately helping us or letting us help them get to the NBA.
No, I think it helped that they had a good year last year. You know,
For
that
sure.
definitely didn't hurt, right? To get some momentum in year one going into the Big 12. I think a lot of people thought they'd struggle more than they did. And to have that type of year, momentum's kind of everything, right?
Mhm.
Once you get it, look at like Alabama, down there, Nate Oates, he's got it right now. And once you have it, and he's not a guy who is from there, I question that hire because he was more of a Midwest guy who had been the head coach at Buffalo. He gets hired at Alabama, and I think Nate's a terrific coach. But I'm like, this may not work. And once you win early, it kind of can change everything quickly. So anyway, listen, appreciate you taking the time. I know you got more calls to make, probably a whole lot more important than talking to me on a Zoom right now. So Kevin, appreciate it, man. And I'm sure I'll see you in July.